everybody, I'm Charles Morgan from Comic Week, and I'm with Brianna, and we're at Alpha Comics. So I guess 2 episodes ago we had your first cameo appearance. Your first true appearance was last week, and now this is the episode you revealed to everybody your superpowers, right?
No, I don't exactly have superpowers.
Okay, well, what we do have is a lot of comic books this week.
Occasionally some people have superpowers in them.
So unless you've lived under a rock, you probably know this is going to be a touchstone week for the history of the comic book medium. This is the week that this comes out. I think news started to break about two days ago that this was going to be a very important issue. Of course, Kirkman has been teasing the last few months, hey, get this month's issue, big things are going to happen.
Yeah.
Of course, that big thing was the death of Rick Grimes. So this issue, you're going to definitely want to get to your comic book store the first minute they open. It's the last issue of The Walking Dead.
Yep, and we did not know this when we were ordering it. It was showing solicitation for $2 after this. So your local shop is not going to be prepared for it. So just go into that knowing, because everyone and their mother is going to be coming out of the woodwork trying to find this issue, and unfortunately we will try as much as we can, but if we don't know, I can't do anything. So we just have the amount that we would on a normal Walking Dead issue.
So for a typical story, you're probably talking between 20 and 50 copies.
Yeah, roughly.
So one thing about this, now I've already read it, I'm not going to spoil you, other than the fact that you know it's going to end. But if you look at this,
it's thick.
This is very thick, and it's $3.99, which, you know, Kirkman's a maverick in the comic book industry. He's changed the face of comic books. It's hard to believe, like, between issues 40 and 52, The Walking Dead was only selling about 3,000 copies. And then from that point, you know, the deal with AMC, the show really caught on fire, and then it started to sell 100,000 more copies, and it just changed the industry.
Oh yeah, and I mean, it just hit 15 years, I think, last year. So this is a pretty big thing. I feel very, not similar, but ElfQuest finished up a couple of years ago, and we had people that had been following it since the very beginning, and one of our regular customers got spoiled to the end.
Right.
She was real upset for obvious reasons.
Right.
So we don't want to spoil anything, but just so you're prepared, so when you see that final thing saying the end.
Yeah.
It's the end.
Yeah, and you're actually, as much as you want to prepare yourself, even if you read everything about this, somebody spoiled the whole thing for you, you're not going to emotionally be ready for how you feel after the culmination of 15 years of fandom.
Oh yeah, especially when you have something that ongoing. So
anyway, that's The Walking Dead, issue 193. Also, which should be, I would imagine, will also sell out. To coincide with the release of the final issue of Walking Dead is the second printing of issue 192, the commemorative cover for Rick Grimes. But you know what? When I saw this date, I kind of was suspicious that something was up, because obviously Rick Grimes wouldn't be 15, 16 years old or whatever.
Yeah.
You know, so The Walking Dead is the story of Rick Grimes, and I guess that's going to be the thing that people take away from this series. Let us know if you're going to pick up The Walking Dead. Let us know in the comments how you feel about the way it resolves. Did Kirkman do a good job by you? Is the door open for more Walking Dead in the future? Are your favorite characters still around when it's all over? Or do you think you would have ended it some other way? Be interesting. I think it'll be one of those discussions people have for years to come.
Oh yeah.
Another cool thing coming out this week, probably not in that same level, but definitely a highly beloved cult classic, is going to be Black Hammer, The New Age of Doom. This is issue number 11. It'll have a A and a B cover. Lemire's world is fantastic, full of very interesting superheroes, which are an homage to the history of the comic book medium. His comics for this series are basically dripping with pathos, and you don't really have to go into it feeling like, what kind of world is this? I don't understand it. The rules are consistent from issue to issue. He doesn't flip it up. And it's also a good time to get into the series, because Dark Horse has always also put out the Black Hammer Encyclopedia, the World of Black Hammer Encyclopedia. And then through this, you see basically each of the main characters, the issues that they appeared in, and information about them so you understand their history and their backstory. I have a feeling that this Black Hammer, I know it's been optioned, but it's probably going to become a multimedia property. And so for comic book fans who want to get into it before you start seeing it on TV or in the movies, this is a good jumping on point. And I know he has other side projects related to the Black Hammer universe in the works.
Mm-hmm. So then another book that I want to talk about, the Superman issue, it's actually going to be, I guess rebranding is probably not the right word, but Walmart basically had exclusive rights to a giant Superman #1, and this is going to be kind of a rebinding of that. So it's that storyline, but it's now going to be for all comic book stores versus just being sold at Walmart. So that's a really cool thing if you want kind of like a standalone-ish Superman story, because it's supposed to be in the style of a giant issue, so I'm assuming it's going to be kind of in the one-shot format.
Right, and Tom King has posted about this on Twitter. He said it was one of his most prideful professional accomplishments was getting to write Superman, so we all know that he's writing Batman for at least for another few months.
Oh yeah. And then I really, really dig this cover. I'm a big fan of the Buffy TV series. This is going to be the new comic book series that they're doing that's going to be a retelling of the TV series, but with modern conveniences. So Xander's going to spend all night playing games online, and Buffy has a cell phone now, and there's a lot of things that are the same and a lot of things that are just kind of just a little tad bit different.
Right.
And this cover just kind of grabbed me because I'm kind of weird about like horror motifs, but at the same time, it's so creepy.
Yeah, it kind of evokes that poltergeist.
Yeah, it's kind of a poltergeist vibe, but then it's very much in the vibe of Buffy in general, being a tad bit creepy.
So this is going to be the first week we start seeing retailers get DC's upmarket variants of comics. Of course, let's see if we have these. Where do we put them?
There.
We got yeah. So we have basically, the Year of the Villain issues are out now. Okay, so here's Harley Quinn. So this comic is the $3.99 standard pricing model, and then here's the advertised $1 upcharge cardstock covers. And these came out for a few issues. There was Harley Quinn, there was Deathstroke, which had one, and then there was Justice League, which had probably, I think, one of the coolest ones. But I was kind of surprised by what these actually tactily felt like when we got them in and we started playing with them. For $1 extra, you're essentially just getting a glossy, a slightly harder paper stuff.
Yeah, it doesn't really feel quite as cardstocky as I was expecting it to feel. I was expecting something more akin to the sketch covers almost.
Right.
Because it made it sound like that was the vibe it was going to be. And you can't tell the texturing from the picture that Previews has on its website. So I didn't expect it to be quite as shiny as it is. But time will tell. If the books hold up better, that's awesome. But it just seems like kind of vibe-wise, it's not quite as nice. It is thicker, which is great, but it'll just be a matter of if the book can hold up to that, because the inside pages are the same.
It's so if you bought Thumbs last month, it's sort of a similar stock. Thumbs might actually be thicker. Well, the one thing is the color saturation when you look at these comics is not these versions are not the same.
Yeah.
So these are more subdued. And from a retailer perspective, obviously it costs more for retailers to bring these in. So it's going to be a real interesting experiment to see if, we're looking at something that's going to be popular or if it's not going to be popular. But the one thing that, I've been hearing from industry sources is it's very likely this is a trial balloon for raising of the retail price of DC and Marvel comics, which is probably in the not too near horizon.
Yeah, which is kind of unfortunate because DC just within the last year plus just moved up to that $3.99, where Marvel was at that $3.99 for a while. So for it to go back up so quickly is kind of disheartening, but you can't really change
You're right. I mean, costs are the costs.
Yeah.
So we have a whole host of number ones, probably
Yes.
too many to go into too much detail, but we will show them off, and if we have any insights, we'll share them with you.
Yep. So Arrow, it's going to be the first standalone series for this character. She's going to make an appearance in the new Agents of Atlas that came in conjunction with all of the War of the Realms-ness. I really like this cover personally.
Yeah, I think it's
It's really pretty. Her power set is pretty cool too. I'm very curious to see how those characters do, just because the series did well.
Right.
Of New Agents of Atlas, so it's going to be cool to see kind of how these characters progress in their own stuff. Doom Patrol is going to have a new series. We only have this cover. We didn't get the variant. I don't know if that means that it's gotten the variant. It's been pushed back completely.
Right.
But I know for our shop, we didn't get it in.
And this is under the Young Animal imprint, which it's weird that they would launch this with Young Animal since they're wrapping all of these imprints into regular DC too.
Yeah.
So I don't really understand what DC's been doing.
I don't
the
know.
last couple.
Maybe this is something that was in the works for a while and it just hadn't gotten published. Maybe they're only going to do like a 6-part series for it. Another one is going to be Fantastic Four, Prodigal Son. This is going to be a new series that's going to jump between a few books. So just keep an eye out for that if you do want to read this series. It's not like it's going to be just in Fantastic Four. Hopefully they'll just stick with this nice little header. But it's a little subdued, so you might have to really look for it a little bit. And then another number one is going to be Sea of Stars. I was flipping through it, and I really like kind of like the spacey vibe to it and kind of the color choices they used, but I haven't read it.
It's sort of like it's cute, but without feeling juvenile.
Okay. Yeah. So I like Space Odysseys, so I'll probably flip through it at the very least.
Yeah, I mean, the ones keep going. So we also have Marvel put out Secret Warps Soldier Supreme Part 1. So this is an annual.
Yeah. They had done a previous series where they were combining various Marvel characters in conjunction with the Infinity War series they did a while back.
Star Wars fans, Marvel has 2 number ones for you. You have Finn and Target Vader. So
yeah, and I think Target Vader is supposed to be its own series where Finn is just going to be one of the standalone issues they've been doing with the Cage of blah blah blah.
DC has a maxi series that's out. There's 2 variants here, and this is again a little bit inconsistent on their part. Lois Lane has a variant cover that is not a cardstock cover, so this is $3.99.
Yeah.
Which actually I like this cover.
I really like that cover. And I think that also might just be because the cardstock covers, I don't know if they were originally going to go with all of them, and you have some stuff that's coming out before and later than other things. So it's the same idea as when they did the foil covers. That was pretty inconsistent. You had some books that had foil covers and other ones that didn't.
This cover kind of gives me the creepies because that's the idea of like burning paper and then you're reading a comic book and you're like, that's like the last thing you want to happen.
So apparently Superman used his laser somehow to warm up his insignia and press it into paper, because let's not talk about how that would work.
He's like, girl, you work too much.
Stop reading. Enjoy yourself.
Let's see. We have some indie comics here. We have Midnight Mystery, City of Ghosts, number 1, and another Image title, Space Bandits.
I have no idea about this title. It had a lot of cool Technicolor covers, so I'm curious.
All Time Comics, Zero's Deathscape. One of the cool things about this is that it is printed in that old-timey comic book paper stock. Except it looks a lot better than any old-timey comic book I've ever seen.
I wonder if it's going to be like Sham, which is kind of like making fun of older comics. If it's a similar vibe to that, or if it's going to be something completely different.
It looks pretty violent.
Yeah, I mean, that covers, you got a person coming tree, did not goodness.
Yeah, and then there's a Postal Deliverance 1. So this is another series in the Postal universe there. This is actually something I'm looking forward to read. No One Left to Fight.
The back looks sweet.
What happens to a superhero when there's no one left to fight? It's almost like, an Alexander conquered the world and he shed a tear.
So are we going to like do kind of like a One Punch Man type of vibe?
Yeah. So it's super colorful too. I mean, it looks like if Trix the cereal had a comic book.
Yeah, I was about to say, it kind of looks like what happens if you have way too much candy.
So there's that. Some really cool covers this week that we haven't talked about. I really dig this Descendant cover. It's kind of spooky.
It looks sweet.
Aftershock.
It's pretty intense.
There's a variant, 2 more variants from DC that aren't $5.
It's Batgirl.
Yeah. And then you have this gorgeous Green Lantern. So there's also a couple trades that came out. The one that caught my attention was the Black Label rebranding of Brian Azzarello's Joker. So this was published a few years back. 2008, right?
Yeah, and they're going to be doing this a lot with some of the more adulty Batman titles.
Yeah.
They're going to have that Black Label attachment to it. Just so you know, it's not a new series, it's just republishing them. So I'm assuming either they want to have this just be under the Black Label header,
right,
or they're trying to use it as kind of an alert for like parents, hey, this might not be kosher for little Timmy who's 5.
Right, can confirm eggplant free. So that gets us through this week's comic book issues. I mean, there's, it's going to be one of those weeks where, it's going to be buzzing at your local store. Of course, Walking Dead's going to be the thing everyone's talking about, but there's so many interesting and cool comics coming out, so many number ones, and who knows, maybe one of these number ones is going to stick and become a main part of the culture, and then who knows, maybe 15 years from now we'll be a lot older and we'll be talking about how that is going away. If you're on our Facebook page, and you want to take a shot at it, I'm giving away this cool Peter Parker Spider-Man number 74 and 9.8.
Yeah. I was telling him earlier, I didn't realize she was wearing glasses, so I thought Spider-Man was like just hitting her face directly, and I was really disturbed for a second. And then I realized, oh no, there is something in between her and Webb.
Yeah, if you're afraid of spiders, this will give you all the more reason. But yeah, this is fantastic. I mean, this looks exactly like it did the day it probably came out in 1983.
It looks super pretty.
So, and before we go, I'd like to also thank our followers and our fans on the YouTubes. Jeff Taylor, thank you. Phil Ailing, thank you. And Azusa Fan again. He said he liked the first Bree episode, and so save that episode, man. It could be worth something someday. Miss Megan XOXOX from Australia wanted to thank us again, and I'm working on that Kanto review that you want. I like it. You didn't get a chance to read it?
I didn't get a chance to get it, but they are doing a second printing, and we ordered a bunch extra, so hopefully I can steal one of those quickly.
Yeah, it's like a tin man who, probably a robot, right? They take whoever the masters are, take their hearts out and replace it with a clock, which means that their life is limited by time, which is super sad. But what makes it really even worse is that their eyes are so dear and expressive that it's just, you're like, oh, you know. So Kanto is going on this journey to basically save the woman he loves, and it's another comic book series that's out now that is a little bit based on Dante's Inferno, a lot different than Faithless. I will say that.
Yeah, I flipped through it and somebody's gears were popping out. I was like, that doesn't look kosher. Like, why can't he keep his insides inside? Right.
That's where they belong.
Yeah.
So on the CoinWeek side on Facebook, we want to thank Jeffrey Summers, Julio Hernandez, Jesse Canales, James Enfinger, Jody Workman, V.A. Boy Toy Watson, Tay Downer, Robert Weddleton, Mike Murphy, and Shane Berryhill.
And then on the Alpha side, it's going to be Chapman Adams, David Scott Lane, Robert Ward, Stephen Newchalk. I apologize if I mispronounced that. Charles Slade, Joe Green, Will Breinstein, Melissa Dolans, and Paul McLean.
I think our list is growing.
Yeah, it is, which is awesome. Like, A+.
So anyway, that does it for us. There's tons to read here. I hope you have a good new comic book day, and we'll see you at the shop and around, and have fun. Have a good week, everybody.
Bye-bye.